Good morning. This is Milton Kane, Christian Democratic Party candidate for the federal seat of Newcastle. I was rather disturbed when I read in the paper Newcastle Morning Herald on Monday, the 28th this year, 2013, to read about a cancer cell that appears to be there around the area of Hamilton South, which is public housing. Obviously, public housing is designed to be cheap housing. Now, we actually have a very large substation there, and from the article there seems to be a fair bit of evidence that quite a number of people over the last several years have cancer issues. Now, there has been some suggestion over the past that living under high voltage power lines can cause health issues, and living near substations can cause health issues. We need to put this to rest completely and absolutely. We need to be certain about whether it is safe to live under power lines, whether it is safe to live near these substations. We need the high power lines, we need the substations. That's for sure. We can't get away from them. But the fact of the matter is, do we need to put housing right up next to them? That's the big question. Now, we need to investigate it thoroughly as far as I'm concerned. And if elected as your member, I would actually make sure that a full and thorough investigation be done. I believe that the appropriate body to do it would be the CSIRO. After all, it is a government body that is supposed to do unbiased investigation. And it would be nice to see it, again, doing work in this particular area. There are other bodies who may well want to look into these things, but my question is, would they be biased or whatever? And we don't want a biased outcome. When a person moves into a house, particularly into public housing, they need to be absolutely confident that the government has actually built a house in a place which is safe for them. It needs to be safe in many ways. We do know of places where houses were built next to various smelters where there's lead contamination and other sorts of things, and that happens in the Newcastle area. We do know that there's been a lot of pollution from other industry, and the public housing is built close to that for convenience and also for cheapness. And obviously these ones are built there. We also know that a lot of housing is built on floodplains, and that also causes a problem on public housing on floodplain. It's pretty cheap because the land tends to be fairly flat, very easy to build on. However, in the time of high rainfall, we end up with some issues. We have many of those issues up in the north of the state at this present time, with these rivers that are breaking their banks or threatening to break their banks, and up in Queensland we have a lot of evidence of it, with quite a number of places where their houses have been inundated. Now, what I'm suggesting to you is that we need to do a better job on making sure it's safe. Cheap housing is not cheap. If the medical bill is high, if the insurance bill is high, if the rebuild is high, a house should be able to be built, and it should be able to be lived in for quite some time without any of these calamities occurring. We should be able to have people living in a place and not actually be at a health risk because they're there. So, I'm proposing that I would, if elected to office, I would seek to get a private member's bill up, purely and simply to make sure that we have a look at all of the detriments to health in and around particularly public housing, and also other estates would be wise as well, and that it make it compulsory that before a new subdivision is made, that all the risk factors from environmental things relating to various industries, various things like power lines and all those sorts of things, and whether it be basically like a coal train going past which is uncovered and all those sorts of things. We need to make sure that things are safe for our community. And I want to set up a body that will actually intentionally check on that. I'm not trying to be difficult for building, I'm just wanting to be safe for people to live. And that's what it should be all about. We should be making sure that we build safe places and not death camps for people. Thank you.